Council President Berge, council members, thanks for taking the time to view this. I'm Andres A.J. Lazda, live at 2732 Wellington Drive West, born and raised in Eau Claire, but a recent returnee after being gone for 25 years. I'm a member of Corba, a Corba Trail user, and a Corba volunteer. I'm also a daily user of the Wells area. First things first, Corba is a great organization and a huge asset to the Chippewa Valley and beyond. I think it's truly amazing what Corba has accomplished with an all-volunteer organization. But Friends of the Wells and our campaign to keep the Wells as it is also a reaction to Corba's success. Corba has 100 miles of trails and 10 mountain biking areas in our region. Northwest Park is just 3 minutes from the Wells, and even Corba says that Northwest Park is underutilized. In addition to Northwest Park, Outdoor Moors Pinehurst Park is 6 minutes away, and Centennial Park is 8 minutes away. Lowe's Creek and Area 178 are nearby as well. Friends of the Wells is also a reaction to the Wells project process. Some criticize Friends of the Wells for being late to the game. This process started nearly a year ago, after all. After receiving preliminary City Council approval in February, Corba originally came to the Airport Neighborhood Association in March, and the community's reaction was overwhelmingly negative. But the community was asked to withhold judgment on a project that was just in the idea stage. Fair enough. Corba said that they were not planning on changing current trails, and that they would return to share the proposed plan with the community once a draft was back from IMBA, the International Mountain Biking Association. At the February 14th City Council meeting, responding to several City Council members' concerns about the lack of community input, Parks Manager Steve Plaza stated that the public involvement would only start in December, once a draft plan was back from IMBA. However, when the plan was made public at the November 28th meeting at the Eau Claire Library, at that point, the plan was already set for approval by the Waterways and Parks Commission the following week. This gave the community no real opportunity to react to the plan or ask for changes, nor did Corba make a good faith effort in getting current user or community feedback. At the library meeting, visitors were asked how they use the Wells currently, but were not asked how they feel about the plan or changes they would like to see. Around this time, Corba was approached more than once about meeting with the area residents again, but Corba was not interested in returning to meet with the community, understandable given the original negative reaction. The current user community should have been more directly involved in the process from the beginning. IMBA's guidelines emphasize early and good faith engagement with the community, but that just wasn't done in this case. Sensing that approval for this project was rushed, I posted signs at 5 Wells area entrances, and I took pains to make the sign objective, just pointing out the differences between Corba's current and proposed maps of the Wells area. Posting the signs at the Wells I thought would give a good representation of how actual Wells users feel, and the response was nearly 100% against changing the Wells and for keeping the Wells as it is. From the responses, I could see that users were passionate about the Wells, even using the word love to describe it. These weren't people unhappy with the resource, but were going out of their way to use it. Speaking with people in the Wells and those who sent comments, I met people who drive to the Wells not only from Eau Claire and neighborhoods like East Hill, but also from Lake Hallie, from Seymour and Altoona, to take advantage of the unique and beautiful area that is the Wells. I also met people who live a short walk from Northwest Park, but who drive to the Wells because they prefer the Wells and also because they don't feel welcome on Corba's groomed trails. These pictures from the 3 main parking areas in the Wells illustrate that people go out of their way to come to the Wells, and their comments show that they come to the Wells not in spite of how it is, but because of the way that it is. The pictures of the parking lots also don't reflect the many local residents who can walk to the Wells. Keep in mind, the pictures are from late December and January, so people love to come to the Wells even when the weather is least hospitable. Sensing the passion around the Wells users, but also a sense of resignation about the project, one person in the Wells even said to me, "You can't fight City Hall." In late December, I started a petition to gather supporters and also invited people to become members of Friends of the Wells to unify their voices and their desire to keep the wells as it is. Nearly everyone I spoke to was supportive and also grateful that someone was doing something to gather support for the wells. Some even started gathering signatures themselves, and we ended up with more than half a dozen people taking the time to gather signatures for the petition, and ended up with over 170 signatures. At a couple of public events, Corba referred to the Wells trails, jokingly I assume, as boring. But what I've noticed as part of the Friends of the Wells is that the user base is certainly broad and diverse, but it does skew older. These are users that likely would not go to Northwest Park or Pinehurst, and some travel from those areas to the wells. There should be a place for boring in our area recreational choices. But what would truly be boring would be the homogenization of our park and rec areas. The wells is an important piece of Eau Claire's recreational diversity and variety. Do you want an adrenaline fix? Take to the jumps in Pinehurst. Do you want an endorphin rush? Ride the fun loops at Northwest Park, or Lowe's Creek, or Centennial, or Area 178. But if you want to lower your stress and cortisol levels, visit the tranquility of the wells. The wells is the last accessible, natural, and wild space in the city of Eau Claire. And that will be more and more important as Eau Claire continues to grow and develop. We've all heard about forest bathing and the benefits of being in nature. The wells, as it currently is not a nice to have for our city, but a need to have. Friends of the Wells has been asked about a compromise. To me, the compromise is that, thanks mostly to the great work of Corba, we already have 100 miles of organized, well-marked trails in our area, and Friends of the Wells is asking to preserve just this one space in the wells, not just for the current users, but for the benefit of our city. But we have submitted a proposed compromise on the project in the form of an amendment that would pause the project and give the Friends of the Wells good faith involvement in the project and to make changes that would address the concerns of Friends of the Wells. This amendment is the result of 3 Friends of the Wells meetings held January 11th, 17th, and 18th, with a cumulative attendance of roughly 60 people, as well as a response to the 170 petition signatures received and more than 120 Friends of the Wells members. Many of those who are involved are committed to volunteering and helping maintain the wells going forward. We know the City Council wants to support Corba. I want to and will continue to support Corba. But if the City Council votes to move forward with this project, we ask that you at least make space and time for true community involvement, input, and influence in the outcome. Thank you.